Hey friends, most leaders want to feel confident before they act, and they want to make sure they feel good before they make a decision. They want to feel good before having that difficult conversation. But most of the time, waiting to feel confident is a sure way to stay stuck because confidence doesn't come first. Courage does. So if you're waiting to feel ready, you're going to be waiting for a while. Now, today I want to share with you a common trap that I see leaders walk into, and I'll share with you some tactics that you can use to take action regardless of the confidence that you feel. Also, these tactics are not only helpful for leadership challenges, but for challenges that everybody faces when dealing with people, relationships, or communication. Okay, so what is this trap? What is this confidence trap? Well, here's a couple scenarios that my clients run into. Imagine there's a conversation that you know you need to have, but you're avoiding it. There's feedback that you need to give, there's a boundary that you need to set, there's a decision that you need to make. Instead of acting on what you need to do, you wait and you tell yourself, I think I need to think about it more, or I just want to say the right thing, or I'm not sure this is the right time. These excuses might sound rational and they let you off the hook, but in reality, we all know that this is avoidance. Now, every leader does this at some level, even the good ones. It is human to want to avoid challenging conversations, and it is normal to desire confidence before speaking. And we desire confidence because we have feelings of anxiety and uncertainty, and these negative feelings keep us trapped in our own minds with worry and fear. And the feeling of confidence removes, or at least decreases, that feeling of uncertainty. And this allows us to essentially get out of our own heads and then remain in the moment to perform better. And so it's normal for us to wait to feel confident before acting. But this creates a confidence gap. We know what needs to be done, but we don't do it because we're trying to eliminate discomfort first. When we delay, we are seeking the perfect words or the perfect timing or the perfect feeling. And of course, none of that is coming. And while we wait, we pay a price. The problem typically gets bigger. And if you run a team, then their performance is going to drop and trust erodes. And I've been guilty of this. I've been there before. I remember avoiding a conversation. This was years ago, pretty early in my management career. I had an employee who was not performing well, and it was causing some minor problems and rifts in the team. And after hearing about it for the first time, I told myself, I should wait for more data, more information, just to make sure this is true. And then another employee came to me about the same issue, and I knew I had to confront this individual. But then I thought, well, I need to wait for the right time to bring this up. And then I needed to figure out the right thing to say. Now, mind you, I put off this conversation for 3 months. And during that time, one of my employees quit. Morale was steadily decreasing, and I know I was losing trust and respect. And finally, I mustered the courage and had the conversation. And the crazy thing was, it went great. The conversation took about 15 minutes. He was receptive, he owned his mistakes, and he improved his behavior. And I waited for 3 months and paid a cost, only to lead with courage and have a great conversation. This is the trap. Waiting for confidence before acting. We wait and we wait and we wait to feel good before taking action, but confidence doesn't come first. Confidence is actually a result of taking action and not a requisite to take action. Most people think that the path looks like this. I have confidence, I take action, and I get results. But in reality, the path actually looks like this. I lead with courage so that I can take action, and then I feel confident. Courage is what allows you to act without feeling ready. Now, in a moment, I'll teach you a few tactics on how to shift our mindsets from worry and fear to courage. But first, let's talk about what courage is, because a lot of people think courage is some heroic, fearless state, but it's not. It's much simpler than that. Courage is simply taking action even when fear is present. This means acting when you feel uncertain, speaking when you feel uncomfortable, and then moving forward without guarantees. It's saying, this might be awkward and I'm a bit afraid, but I'm going to do it anyways. This is especially true if the action you must take is either new or especially risky. When you haven't done a task or a thing before, it is normal for our brains to be fearful because we have no historical successes to reference. Also, you may need to take action where there are known risks, and your brain is weighing the risk of failure with the risk of inaction. And our minds often make decisions by comparing risks, not successes. We plan our actions based on what pains we want to avoid and not what gains we want to make. For example, if we think back to our hunter-gatherer days, hunting was a requirement to get food. But hunting also came with risks. There's dangers in the environment. There's predators out in the wild. There are rival tribes. But hunger is also painful, and the men were expected to go hunt to bring back meat. Now, you can imagine a scenario where a hunter was both hungry and expected to provide, and yet that man felt the risk of going out on a hunt. So the brain is then comparing one pain of hunger and not meeting social expectations with another pain, the risk of the environment or getting eaten or getting attacked by a rival tribe. When the pain of one outweighs the pain of another, we avoid the greater pain. And we do the same thing in the workplace. We experience the pain of a team member's poor performance, and we compare that potential pain that could come from a difficult conversation. And many leaders choose the pain that they can predict over the pain that they can't be sure of. This is a very human trait. And in this sense, we lack the confidence that we will get the outcome that we desire, and we tell ourselves how painful a conversation is going to be, so we avoid it. We end up avoiding the greater imagined pain of the conversation, and we tolerate the smaller pain of the poor performance. So what do we do about this? How do we lead with courage so that we can gain confidence? Well, the first thing we need to do is take an audit. What are the things that you're avoiding? Where are you waiting to feel more confident before taking action? You may have one thing on your list or 27, but most people have a few things that they are putting off, and there's no shame in this. But make a list. Then stack rank your list. Reprioritize it to have the most important things, most important items at the top, and the least important and impactful things at the bottom. Now, the items at the top should be of greater impact, but remember, delaying action on the smaller items will only make them grow. Now that we have a list of items that you're delaying, what can we do to face the fear and take action? Well, we need to acknowledge our vulnerability. Brené Brown writes about this in her book, Daring Greatly. There is no courage without vulnerability. Vulnerability is about acknowledging our own fears and feelings and not hiding from them. It is okay to feel fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This is human, but it does not mean that we need to give those emotions power over us. If you are avoiding taking action or having a conversation, name what you feel. Naming a thing gives you more power over it. It's like when you're sick and you don't know exactly what you have. It could be a cold, it could be the flu, it could be something else. And you just feel stuck, you don't know what to do. But then the doctor says, you have a sinus infection. And all of a sudden, your sickness has a name and you can do something about it. The same thing goes for us. Start by naming what you feel. Then immediately name your story. There is a story underneath that emotion. Or maybe that story is something like, well, if I bring this conversation up, they're going to retaliate. If I have this conversation, they're going to blow up. Now, your story might sound like a reasonable justification, or it may sound like an excuse. But after naming our story or stories, we can begin to identify oftentimes how silly and irrational our fears are. Or at least we can acknowledge how exaggerated they are. We can poke at them, we can accept them as true, we can falsify them, challenge them. Whatever we do, we cannot let that story hold us back from taking action. After naming your story, state what you want. What is the outcome that you want from the conversation? What do you want from the decision? What do you want from taking action? Maybe you want clarity. Maybe you want behavior change. Maybe you want to learn what the other person is thinking. As you state what you want, recognize what you need to do to get what you want. You probably have to take action or make a decision or have that conversation that you're putting off. But the final step here is choose the action that's going to move you closer to getting what you want. And then, friends, get out of your own head. Stop thinking about what could go wrong. Instead, think about what could go right. Think about what that other person will get from the conversation. Think about what the team will get from your decision. So often we get stuck in inaction because we are stuck in our own heads, seeking good feelings, wanting to feel good. Start thinking of others and the positive impact that your actions will have. That way, you can feel the fear and you can do it anyways. It is much easier to be courageous when we acknowledge how our efforts will positively impact others. Leading with courage is a skill. It is a practice. You will get better at this over time. As you practice, you should recognize that the moment you feel fear or anxiety, you can also identify your story, your justification, or your excuse that goes with it. You can then put that excuse to the side. Consider what you want, identify the positive impact, and then take action. Eventually, leading with courage becomes a part of your identity, and you can take action even through uncertainty. Friends, thanks for being here. If you would like more information on becoming unstoppable, consider signing up for my newsletter. I will throw a link down in the comments. And if you're all about taking ownership and setting a positive example for your team, check out this video.